take a Rooster saddle feather. These come either strung in a package, or you can also buy the cape or the saddle, and they work pretty well. This one was a strung one, so I pulled it out of a package. Nice long one. Be able to wrap this very easily. I usually trim this just right where the fuzz, the Marabou type stuff ends. And when I prep the feather, I like to cut it. Some people will strip that off, leaving a bare stem. If you trim it off with your scissors, you'll have a little bit of teeth in there, and it tends not to slip out when you wrap your thread around there. So sometimes these strung feathers are hard to tell which side's which. This side's the underside of the feather. I want it so that the fibers are aiming back, so I'm going to tie that in, getting ready for it to do that, just that. So tying it in like that. Tie that in real secure. Trim off the stem end there. Rotary helps with that. And I'm going to wrap this back to my wire. I like to make sure I have a collar up front. So I'm going to wrap, there was like 2.5 wraps. Wrap that back. This feather's long enough I don't need to worry about hackle pliers. But if it was a shorter feather, I would want hackle pliers handy to use at this stage. So I'm going to wrap that back. And I'm going to cross over the feather tip with my wire and wrap that back. If you find that if you have webbier hackle, this stuff's pretty stiff. If you have webbier hackle, when you wrap the wire, it tends to trap it down, which is not what we want. So in that case, you just wiggle the wire as you wrap forward. And crossing over all the strands, when I get up to the front of the bead, I'm going to pull that material out of the way. I'm going to do that same drop technique. And I pull tight, make sure that's real tight, because I'm going to break this wire rather than risk damaging my scissors and cutting it. Pull down with the bobbin, grab it tight close to the bead, wiggle it as you pull. Breaks off nicely. That's that small wire doing that for you. That also is helpful to have your wire on a bobbin, because it gives you something to hold on to rather than just one slippery wire. I can hold the whole bobbin. Almost done. I'm going to wrap a couple wraps there to make sure it's secure. I can trim out my feather. And you could do a variety of knots. I'm going to do a whip finish by hand. Whoops, that's good. Make this one count. Pull on that. I'm going to do at least 2 of those. I like to do 2 sets of 3. So I go around 3 times, pull it tight, and then do another set of 3. Trim that off. There's a Bead Head Woolly Bugger ready to go. You could also drop a head cement on there, which would be a good idea. A lot of times if I fish this like on the Smith River, I lose it before it falls apart. So there it is, a real simple bead-headed woolly bugger with weighted.